So a lot of information there. The Correspondents' Dinner was where she started, and that is tomorrow night at the Waldorf Astoria in Washington, D.C. And again, this is kind of the redo, if you will, of We Know Where We All Were, who attended the last one in late April on that weekend. And Gianno, you and I were both, Gianno Caldwell's with me now, you and I were both together that evening. It started so beautifully, and crime decided that it would just take it from us. But fortunately, the president, the vice president, all of the people on the dais and all of us in the ballroom were safe, but we could hear the gunshots. So this will be the president coming back and keeping his promise. He said he would do another dinner and have an opportunity for correspondents to gather, and that will happen tomorrow night. So she was talking about that. She mentioned some things about the economy and a lot of information about tips with no taxes. I mean, people are now starting, because we're out of tax season officially, unless you had a really lengthy extension on filing yours. But now we're in that part of the year where people can kind of feel that, and that's probably just in time with some rising gas prices due to the war in Iran. But there are some things that are keeping this economy whole right now and positive, and Caroline Leavitt was talking about that. And of course, you watched her back and forth about the war in Iran. I want to bring in Gianno Caldwell right now, who is here. First of all, I just want to get your direct comments about what we just heard some of.
Well, the economy under Trump and the tax season is going to be robust for many Americans. And we've seen time and time again Americans praise this policy from Donald Trump, which started with a conversation with him and a waitress, I believe, in Las Vegas. What we're going to continue to see, though, is Democrats try to obstruct this policy, as we've seen with some governors saying, hey, we're not going to implement this policy in our state. So they're disenfranchising their citizens on a day-to-day basis, and thank God that we see the White House continue to talk about the progress, because some people may not even be aware.
Right. Just another point, too, for the audience as they were watching on the war with Iran, Saudi Arabia and the nuclear deal. We've heard it directly from the press secretary talking about the fact that that is a deal that's still coming together and what that's predicated on, whether or not they joined the Abraham Accords. So that's another news point that we were watching today. And this is in focus. The murder of a toddler in Virginia, fueling more criticism of Democrat Governor Abigail Spanberger's anti-ICE policies. Police say an illegal immigrant from Mexico sexually assaulted a 2-year-old child. She died shortly after that attack, and prosecutors charged the man with murder and aggravated sexual battery. DHS says, quote, this horrific tragedy was completely avoidable because this illegal alien should never have been in the country. Governor Spanberger's sanctuary policies have made Virginia a hotbed for illegal alien crime. Meanwhile, far-left Democrats in Washington, D.C. keep attacking ICE with dangerously heated rhetoric.
We're back again for another edition of the Republican Party's Great Replacement Therapy session, where all the white men of the House Judiciary Committee lecture Americans on the importance of mass deportations so that they preserve their so-called American values.
Everyday Americans have been shocked and appalled at the establishment of a paramilitary force that is shooting everyday Americans in the street.
Well, she's got the socialist talking points to run. We'll see what happens in 2028 with all the talk about her now. AOC. Well, not long ago, Democrats had more common sense about immigration enforcement. I mean, literally not long ago. Just ask White House border czar Tom Homan, who worked under President Obama when Obama was being called deporter-in-chief.
Why do you think American society has moved to saying that deportations are a bad thing when 20 years ago even Democrats were for them?
I really think it has to do with our president and the hatred for this president. They didn't want to see the president succeed. And I truly believe that, because I actually got an award from President Obama for removing the record number of illegal aliens. What's turned the tide is the false rhetoric, hateful rhetoric by the media. You know, about the inhumane policies of the Trump administration. That's why I'm out there every day saying, wait a minute now, inhumanity.
Gianno Caldwell again with me here. And of course, the Caldwell Institute, you have a big march coming up on the weekend. I want to talk about that and the anniversary of your brother's passing and that important spotlight on crime in this country. But first, your reaction to what we just watched.
Well, I got to tell you, the Democratic Party, the virtue signaling they've done around these issues with ICE has really created a loss of life in many of these cities. what we see Governor Spanberger do isn't any different than what we're seeing Brandon Johnson do in Chicago, or what we're seeing Mondani do in New York, or any of these other left-leaning blue cities. What they're doing, their policies have failed their citizens, and they're causing the loss of life. Now, they could easily work with ICE, but I'm reminded of a conversation that happened between Jim Jordan and the former Homeland Security Director Kristi Noem, when he said, how many of these ICE detainers, and that was in 2025, how many of these ICE detainers aren't being honored? And that was almost 18,000 of them across the country. We're seeing constant tragedy happen. When is enough enough, Harris? I don't understand why they think this is a good idea. We see what some of these folks are doing, and you and I, we talked maybe 2 weeks ago on air about an individual, a legal immigrant, who said this is a part of our culture. If you recall that statement that came out of a legal immigrant. So when is enough enough? They need to work with ICE. ICE has been doing, in my humble opinion, a great job saving our streets, but you need the local officials to work with you.
They're also breaking some of the bondage of sex trafficking for children. And I mean, Tom Homan has been dedicated to finding some 300,000 kids who went missing after crossing the border illegally under the Biden administration. That is a mighty job in itself. So it's a multi-pronged effect and approach to try to make it better here in America. I don't understand, just like you, why they won't work with ICE, because maybe the details would be different if that were happening. Here are the latest ICE detention numbers. And just from this fiscal year to date, more than 350,000 ICE deportations and removals, over 1,200 average deportations per day, 65,000 total in ICE custody, 39,000 in custody have criminal convictions. Look at the percentage on that. I mean, they are literally rounding up the worst of the worst. And so keeping that word, they're facing convictions or pending criminal charges. June saw a record number of immigration arrests with more than 43,000 arrests. That lets you know how many people who came across the border absolutely didn't just break our first law of sovereignty, but continue to break our laws.
And it would be a much higher number absent the help from the local officials. If they would get involved, if they would partner and say, hey, come get the worst of the worst. Remember when Trump first got in office, They said, we'll help them on the worst of the worst. And that quickly changed within weeks that, oh, we're not going to be worried about the worst of the worst. The people who are actually committing murders or raping a 2-year-old baby, innocent baby, we're going to just say, no, we can't do any work. It's insane, it's unconscionable, and it should end today.
Well, Gianno, I know the issue of violent crime, because I just touched on it, is so personal for you. And you have written an op-ed titled 4 Years After My Brother's Murder, I'm Marching for Justice. Here's some of what Gianno wrote. We march for every family whose grief was treated as collateral damage by the people who were supposed to protect them. Your brother Christian, 18 years old when he was shot and killed. Sadly, something too many families in dangerous blue cities can relate to. You were just tying this to other avenues of crime in the United States right now made by decisions on the left. Talk to me about the importance of this march.
On July,
in a blue city, by the way.
In a blue city, in Chicago, we're going to be starting our march off in front of Morgan Park High School, which is where my brother went to school, July 25th, this Saturday at 10 a.m. I encourage folks to come out, whether you be a victim of violent crime, your family. If you want to see safer streets, you be an angel family. We want angel families there with us during this march, because we have to take back our streets. We have to let our voices be loud and clear for the folks in power that enough is enough. We won't be silent. And that's what they've counted on. They've counted on silence from the people. But I, unfortunately had to live through the devastation of my own family. And what started off as about my brother has become a mission of my own. So I encourage people to go to caldwellsafety.org, sign up for our march, be there with us, send people. If you know folks in Chicago or the surrounding suburbs or wherever around the nation, we have people flying in for this very important event. And interestingly enough, I want to invite, and I write this in a piece, Governor J.B. Pritzker and Mayor Brandon Johnson, come on down. I want you to see the devastation that your policies have caused on these families' lives. So Democrats are welcome. We've invited all of them, because this isn't about politics. This is about the people.
Amen. Caldwellsafety.org. We'll put it up on the screen as well. God bless you and your family.
Harris.
And this march on Saturday. Thank you for watching the Faulkner Focus. Outnumbered after the break. Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.